Hello everybody and welcome to the sixth video in our series of videos on the 1798 Rebellion. As always, we begin with our learning outcomes. So by the end of this presentation, you guys should know who led the rebellion in Antrim and what happened during that rebellion. Second, you guys should know who led the rebellion in Down and what happened there. And finally, you guys should know where the French forces landed and what happened to that French force. So last time we looked at how the rebellion in Wexford ended and some of the atrocities that were committed. Today we are going to look at the outbreak of rebellions in the north of Ireland. Northern Ireland had been the stronghold for the United Irishmen until General Lake's use of terror, where he executed their leaders and disarmed the people of Ulster after the introduction of the Insurrection Act of 1797. However, when news of the success in Wexford at the start of June filtered up to the north of Ireland, the remaining members wanted to join in. The first rebellion took place here in Antrim and was led by a man named Joy McCracken. The rebels realised that Belfast was too well defended to take. It was the second largest garrison of troops in the country, so they decided to attack Antrim town instead. Small towns around the town of Antrim were captured, but McCracken's plans to take Antrim were betrayed by spies. The rebels were defeated in Antrim on the 7th of June, and all the towns of Antrim soon fell after that. However, the following day in County Down, on the 8th of June, another rebellion broke out. There was no leadership at the beginning, but eventually a Scottish merchant named Henry Munro agreed to lead the rebellion. The British forces burned down all the towns around Ballynahinch until eventually the rebels were pinned down and defeated at the Battle of Ballynahinch. They surrendered on the 13th of June. Munro was captured 2 days later and he was executed. Henry Joy McCracken, the leader of the rebellion in Antrim, was arrested when he was trying to escape to America in July, and he was also executed. So while the rebellion looked dead and buried, there was one more twist in the story. On the 22nd of August 1798, a French force of 1,000 men under General Humbert landed in Castlebar in County Mayo, which would be just up here. There was confusion among the Irish-speaking people of the West who weren't sure why the French had arrived. The French, they fought quite bravely. At the time, France would have had the best army in the world after years of fighting from the French Revolution against the main powers in Europe. They took Ballina near Killala. They then defeated a much larger British force at Castlebar here. They forced the British to flee, and the British fleeing became known as the Races of Castlebar. However, with the local United Irishmen and defenders completely obliterated, there was little support for the French. So Humbert heard of a rebellion here around Longford and Westmeath and rushed to meet with them, but the British forces were too strong and the French had to surrender here at a place called Ballinamuck on the 8th of September 1798 in County Longford. The French were treated well, but the few Irish who joined them were not treated so well. Another French ship landed in Donegal on the 16th of November. Here up in Donegal, as you can see, when the ship landed, it had one of the founding members of the United Irishmen, James Nappertandy. He walked off the boat, but he was told that the rebellion was over after the French had surrendered in Ballinamuck. So he got back on the boat and they sailed away. So this leaves only the fate of Wolfe Tone and the future of Ireland left to discuss, which we will look at in our next video, which will be our final video on the 1798 rebellion. So that brings us to the end of our presentation. So now, by now, you guys should know who led the rebellion in Antrim and what happened. You guys should know who led the rebellion in Down and what happened. And finally, you guys should know where the French forces landed and what happened to that French force. Thanks for watching. Hope you guys got something good from this video.